Starstruck.
Hello and welcome to Joyride. I am Jared Brandon Flandy, and this is the podcast where we talk about all things transportation and adventure. And I'm pleased to say we have an exciting guest with us today who is somebody I don't know a lot about, and his name is Dylan Hooker. How are you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing great.
Now, that's not actually the most truthful thing in the world because Dylan is actually my brother.
I am guilty as charged.
Yeah, quite literally. It's nepotism at its best, right?
And I'm here to support it. I'm here to abuse it and get my message out there. I don't know what message that is, but thanks for having me on.
Well, there's a reason why I'm having you on because cars, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this show, have always been a big part of my life, and you were the person that was largely responsible for that.
I am neither sorry nor I don't know what else I would be.
So you're proud of it, in other words.
I am proud of the car nut you have become.
Well, we're not here to talk to me today. We're here to talk about you. So we're going to start off right away. And you are really an automotive renaissance man. So this can go a lot of different ways. So we're going to start simply and then see where the spider web goes from there. How's that sound?
Sure.
So let's start at the simplest place. Let's talk about your car history, okay?
It is varied and unique, but not in like a fun, exotic way. More of like a weirdly quirky, what kind of way?
Explain. Because I know, but everyone else, they need to know too.
Yeah, my first car I inherited, it was a 1975 Chrysler Cordoba in canary yellow with a white Landau top and that white, rich Corinthian leather interior. It could comfortably fit about 7 or 8 people in a coupe. It was about half as long as the state of California. It got abysmal gas mileage, but it was the first car that was mine. It was a car that I had been in love with since I was a kid. I mean, I don't know if you've seen one of these, but like the long hood, it's the weird mix of like boxy, square, and round that you could only accomplish in the 70s. It had the little turn signal indicators way out, a half mile out in front of you at the corners of the hood. And I just, something about that I loved. The radio didn't work. The air conditioning didn't work. It had a heater, though, and it could fit a bunch of my friends in it. And I drove that car all over town through high school up until I blew it up.
So it sounds like its uniqueness was what attracted you to it above all else. Is that something that would be a reoccurring thing for you with cars? Is there the uniqueness of the particular vehicle?
Yeah, like I said, I don't go for exotic. Exotics are cool, but I go for esoteric. I go for something quirky and unique and fun. So like the unnatural next step was I broke the Cordoba, having a little rev off with my dad, and the piece of torque converter came through the side of the bell housing.
Well, that's a small problem.
Something in the valve train dropped. We're not sure. And at that point, I was like, well, I don't really feel like rebuilding this thing. It's a 1975 Chrysler Cordoba that leaks in the rain, yada, yada. Anyway, I then inherited a 1989 Dodge Caravan Turbo SE, which is like your regular 80s rectangular Caravan.
Lunchbox.
Except it came with a Mitsubishi 2.2 turbo.
Oh, so it's not a lunchbox.
No intercooler, no blow-off valve, nothing fun like modern turbo cars have, other than it made that little asthmatic engine do something slightly more than wheeze. And it also did pretty wicked peg leg burnouts once you jam the wastegate shut and put the parking brake on. There's a local car show that would meet on like Saturday nights that they mostly were things doing car stereo sound offs, but they would always do a burnout competition. And I more than once got at least honorable mention, if not more so, in a minivan.
That's an achievement in itself, really.
I like to think so. It was a unique time in my life, and that car, like, when I had that car, I was still at the point in my license where I was restricted and couldn't carry passengers, but I had a thing that was designed to haul people. And so clandestine people moving was my sort of nom de jour.
Not too many people can say that either. So Now, when you had the Cordoba and this particular minivan, this is back when you were in California, so
Yes.
I'm not very familiar with these years, but I am very familiar with the car you had after this point. And let's hear about that.
Yeah, so the minivan, I blew a coolant line and warped the head, and it was dead. And I needed another car. And I had been dreaming of something from the Far East for a long time. Like, I've always been into, like Mazdas and Toyotas and things. I love looking at them. One of my best friends in high school had a beautiful 85 Toyota Celica GTS that was his parents' that they bought for like their honeymoon, and he'd restored it. It was beautiful.
Now, was that silver one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
The one that got killed when a building fell on top of it during an earthquake in California.
That's sad.
Yeah, it ended up about 4 inches tall. I'm so sorry, Joey. But his like showing me these 80s cars got me excited, and I started dreaming of like the poor man's Ferrari or the everyman's Ferrari, which isn't the Lotus. It's the Toyota MR2. And of all the Toyota MR2s, there's the first, second, and third gens. The third gen was like brand new when this was going on and way out of my range. And the second gens were so big, and the turbos were so exotic that like there's no way I could get one of those. But the doorstop, the little cheese wedge Mark I MR2 with its flippy headlights stole my soul. And I pined for one, and when I finally had the chance to buy one, I did. And that car and I had many, many, many adventures. Somehow I am still here, and that car is still here in mostly one piece. And I can't bring myself to get rid of it.
No, I have very, very fond memories of that car too, because I think it was the first one. I don't know about you, I literally went probably over 100 miles an hour in.
And I talked about headlights go up, headlights go down. I am absolutely a huge flippy headlight aficionado.
Oh yeah,
114 miles an hour with the headlights down, 106 miles an hour with the headlights up on flat ground are the terminal velocities of a Mark I MR2.
Flippy headlights truly are a lost thing, and it really is sad.
The whole thing about pedestrians liking their bodies in one part, I guess I see why they did away with them. But there is something about it's daytime. You don't need headlights. Let's make these aerodynamically efficient.
And I'm not trying to. Well, I realize I am, but I'm not trying to date ourselves here. But we're of that certain age group where a fast, exciting car had to be angular.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks fast.
Yeah.
The Mark I MR2 was not terribly fast. I mean, I guess at the time it was faster than a Ferrari 308 GTS in certain tests that Car and Driver did. And it would keep up with my friend's 2004 WRX on back roads, which is part of, I refer back to previous comment about I'm surprised that it survived, that I survived. We had some really lovely roads where I spent a lot of my time in Northern California where, this is hundreds of miles of paved road through the mountains with nobody else on them. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, definitely nobody. And somehow we're still here.
So what ended up happening to the MR2 eventually? Just wear and tear over time, or
the inevitable decline of the 80s shitbox is what happened to it.
Okay, fair enough.
So it's this car when I got it had 100 and something thousand miles on it, and I'm doing air quotes here because the speedometer cable had been broken for an unknown number of years, which meant that there were no miles being recorded. And when I got it, I drove it for a couple of years before I fixed the speedometer cable, and then I put another like 50,000 miles on this thing. So I have no idea how many miles were on it, but eventually, like all cars, for the most part, valve seal started to go, rings started to go, the compression disappeared, and it just slowly puttered out. And I still have it. It still sits in my side yard. I'm still dreaming of what monstrosity to shove in it, or what fun drivetrain or something to do with. I'm really pining about the Toyota Corolla GR 1.6 liter 3-cylinder now, waiting for those to show up on the secondary market.
So that sounds like this is a to be continued story.
I like to think so.
Okay. So maybe we'll touch on that in the future here. But so since you lost those wheels, what were the wheels that came after that?
Well, then I picked up a bad idea, which was a 2002 WRX that I bought from a friend's family's dealership that was a trade-in of questionable integrity. It definitely had some issues. Some of them I was okay with. Some of them I didn't know about. Like I was driving back from California and the center differential tried to ejecto Patronus. And Luckily, it didn't. It just broke, and I managed to limp it to their shop, where it sat for a few more months while they tried to find me the absolute cheapest replacement gearbox they could find, since I made it less than 1,000 miles before it exploded. And I drove that car for another year or two, and then I came into kind of more of a real job at that point, and I had some money. I thought, you know what? I'm tired of having a car I worry about, so I bought a 2008 WRX, the hatchback.
Oh, I remember that car.
And I had that car for maybe all of 3 months before it became one of the course opening safety cars for a rally here in the Northwest. It's Mount Hood Rally.
Oh, so it's awesome action.
Of the 100 and something thousand miles it had on it when number 4 piston took a break into multiple pieces, probably 50 or 60,000 miles of that were on gravel. So this was doing like rally course setup. This was me out doing road checks. This is doing safety car, advanced things like that for rallies, or just generally going out and having a good time. That poor chassis still lives on. I sold it to another rally friend of mine who is using it.
That's a car. That's fine. It's a car show. I'm not worried about
that. I sold it to a friend of mine who is a mechanic and cobbled together the engine and like threw a ball hone down it and was like, oh, this cylinder is oval. Let me just keep going until it's less oval. And it's still running. It now has a whole new drivetrain, and it's now his recce car. Recce is a reconnaissance.
I was going to ask you, thank you.
It's where you go out, and for stage rally events, you get to pre-drive the roads to write your notes. And so my Subaru that was course opening safety car, recce car, all these things, is continuing on as somebody else's recce car, and he loves it to pieces. And it's great because almost every rally I get to see my old car.
I'm happy for you in that way, but I do have a question. It sounds like your cars never have a peaceful death.
Do not go quietly into that good night. Rage. Yeah. Something like that. They live as they die, or they died as they lived gloriously.
So they go out with their boots on.
Thankfully, and I'm doing my best. I'm knocking on wood here without making too much noise. But my goal is for them not to die tragically in an impact, but to live a full and rich life that is, you can look back on it and go, oh wow, those were so many great memories, and like I'm not sad that this motor has now thrown a piston through the side of the block. I deserved that. That was my fault. I wanted to live long enough that I can turn it around it myself. Which is how I went from that 2008 WRX to a 2019 STI, which I named Pearl. That's my daily driver now. It does not see much gravel, unlike my old hatchback. It has not been a course opening safety car. It, however, has been a recce car twice at the Big White Winter Rally up in British Columbia. But that's a snow rally. It's very soft. I'm not too worried about, breaking parts off of it usually.
So obviously we're hearing a lot of history of Subaru here. You're talking about recce cars. So it's apparent you're into rally. So would you like to talk a little bit about your rally life? So if you don't mind segueing to that topic here.
I mean, there are people who have their whole personality as like their identity or something. And I think that a lot of mine is rally. I fell into rally a little over 20 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. I was in the wrong place at the right time with, I guess, the right people. I went to a rallycross, which is basically autocross, but in a dirt field. And since we're in Oregon, it's usually a muddy field. In my MR2, this is fall of 2004. And I was looking at it going, there's not enough suspension travel in this entire car to survive any of this. I'm on basically summer slicks. I'm not going to rallycross this thing. But there's a Mark I Golf, or I was a Rabbit, sitting on a trailer with a sign in the back window that said driver wanted. And I'm like, I'm a driver. Does he want me? So I go over and start talking to this guy, and he basically tells me that, I'm a rally co-driver, and I own the car, and the driver was my friend, but he has skipped town, skipped the country, is no longer part of the picture, and I'm looking for someone who's willing to drive it. And I was like, I'll give it a try. And then I went out and won my class in modified two-wheel drive, beating 20 other people who were far more seasoned at this than I was. And that turned into a, hey, what are you doing? I forget how many weekends away it was, but such and such weekend down the road. And I'm like, I'm a college kid. I've got nothing going on. He's like, great. You're on the service crew for our national rally team. What?
See, that's not a story a lot of people can tell, because usually when they see a help wanted sign, it's like washing dishes or laundromats or something like that. But no, it's you answered a help wanted racing driver sign.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as glorious in the racing that I thought it was going to be, but it turned into the gateway drug for a whole lot of miscreant behavior. I ended up on a rally team with it's a local family team, the Tabor Rally team. They field between 3 and sometimes it seems like 50 cars. Usually it's 3 to 6 cars, but it's the whole family races, like grandma, grandpa, the 3 kids, the grandkids race. Maddie Tabor, the daughter, just got the chance to go back to Europe as part of the WRC Academy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So like these folks have been in rally even longer than I have. They were old hat when they picked me up, but they have this habit of finding people and bringing them in. That's one of their skills, is like, first hit's free, come on in, join our team. And so I service crewed for them for 3 years, 2 years, all of 2004 and 5 and 6. Now that I think about it, it was 3. Because in 2007, when Oregon Trail came around, they said, "Hey, Dylan, would you like to actually race a rally car?" And I was like, does the Pope shit in the woods? The rally car they gave me the keys to, though, was a Geo Metro. All 3 cylinders for the win.
Oh, okay.
And
Quick?
the epitome of speed.
Okay.
It was actually a car that was really rewarding to drive fast, because it didn't get fast very quickly. And once you got there, you had to work to keep that speed. And I didn't know at the time, it was going to be our second to last year racing Oregon Trail Rally in the coast roads over in Tillamook National Forest, or State Forest, sorry. And the roads were beautiful. It was like everything that I'd ever watched in, the British Rally Championship DVDs, or whatever thing we pulled down on, like, Kazaa or LimeWire, watching, these pirated rally videos. It was beautiful. It was raining. It was a wet, muddy event. Like, it was the kind of rally that really makes you feel like you're really fighting for something. And a whole lot of cars went off. I was the last car on the road, being that we run rally cars slowest to fastest. I was in a car that was known to be very slow, and I was a first-time rally driver, so I got put back of the bus. And it was this amazing, like, driving through fields of carnage. Back in the day, novices couldn't run what we call stage notes or pace notes. They didn't have these detailed turn-by-turn directions you hear in, like, the WRC videos, where they're left 6 over crest, caution, tightens 2, whatever. We had what were called tulips, or like route book, where your instructions might be as close as a 1/10 of a mile off. It might be 5 miles until the next thing that's in the book.
These are all navigation techniques, though, right?
This is when you're on a stage rally. The route book mostly contains things like the road junctions. When you're in often forest roads, forest roads intersect. Where do you turn? Where do you go straight? And it kind of comes out of the old days of TSD rally, where you just would get instructions and you follow them. And
what's TSD rally?
Time, speed, distance. Speed, distance rally is where you are trying to average a certain speed.
Okay.
If you're early or late, you get penalized. That's kind of where a lot of this stage rally grew out of, was regulation rally. Of course, people who do regulation rally are weirdos, and I love them all. They are the pedantic math enthusiasts who like cars and math, and driving a very precise speed. Not fast, precise speed. Some folks are like, that's cool, bro, but like, I want to go fast through the woods. And that's where stage rally kind of came from.
Gotcha.
Anyway, route book, you have very few instructions. In some cases, it'll be, minutes or miles between the next thing your co-driver has to tell you. And so being on the coast road, I have a lot of time to just sort of look and spectate. And just at that era, with everyone on route book, we had a lot more people go off, but less severely. Like, it was just, I didn't quite know that corner was that tight, and they were just stuck in the ditch. Or like, there's a Nissan in a bush. There's a Volkswagen in a mud puddle, and they can't get out. Oh, there's a Nissan Sentra with a bent control arm. And so I'm just driving through this like field of destroyed cars, like every minute or so, like, oh, there's a car that's broken. Oh, that car is sitting on top of that car. How do you even do that?
Right.
And I'm just out for a nice sunny drive in my Geo, trying to keep momentum up. I was not last overall. I was not last in my class, which I consider a success for my first rally. I finished.
Right.
That's the success for your first rally, is just getting to the end, and especially an event like Oregon Trail, where it's so many miles over so much different terrain.
So you started off driving, but you eventually kind of transitioned into being a co-driver. And would you mind explaining, the difference between a driver and a co-driver, and what kind of led you to that path in the end?
Well, money. That's really the big thing.
Okay.
How I ended up there. So money and frustration So in rally. In stage rally, you have a driver and a navigator / co-driver. The terms are kind of interchangeable.
Right.
Some people like one term better than the other, but the essence of it is the driver drives the car. He operates the pedals and, throws the thing around and is ultimately responsible for kind of the second-to-second life safety in the vehicle. The co-driver, as I said, in earlier rally times, had very specific things they were doing. Like, this is before we allowed pace notes. This was before you had like real-time GPS where you could go out and map this stuff out. This was like you would do prep where you're getting out the big map book, like the USGS maps, and you're trying to find any little advantage you could get by like, oh, well, about a mile in, there's this really sharp corner that's not in the route book. And you try to make those little notes in between. And like that was being a good co-driver in the route book era. Now it's more of you're a precision turn-by-turn navigation device. You have more responsibilities. There's a lot of math involved. There's a lot of, ensuring your driver is well fed and watered. They aren't very good at doing that themselves. As a driver, I can say that as well. I'm ambidextrous.
So you're camels.
So what ended up happening was I ran that Geo in 2007, and I realized that this is great, but there's no way I can afford to do this long term. Like, I just can't. So I went back into servicing, and then I got into organizing. And then one day I'm like, I have money. I can buy a rally car. So I picked up a 1988 Mazda 323 GTX, which is your regular old 88 Mazda 323 shitbox hatchback, except it came factory four-wheel drive turbocharged. And this is coming from the homologation era of racing, where like if you want to race a national championship all-wheel drive turbo rally car, you have to sell a street-going version of that, at least 1,200 of them in your country of racing. Mm-hmm. So the GTX was a homologation car, and you could actually go to Mazda and buy their whole homologation kit. Like all the brakes, all the fancy stuff they'd put on the real rally cars, you could go buy from Mazda as a kit and go turn it into a factory race car.
Interesting.
But I did not do that. I kept it mostly stock and just tried to survive with it, and we did all right. My first rally, really, when that car was Idaho rally, the hatchback came open, and I had active aero, which is against the rules, but nobody called me out on it because it had the also effect of becoming an inverse dirt cannon at speed. And my co-driver, Jason Griffith, I don't know why you would buy a white race suit in rally, but he did. And by the time we were done, it was a lovely, like, dark beige.
So he looked like a UPS driver.
Even after several washings, he looked like a UPS driver in a onesie. And then I it was expensive and I didn't have the money again. And so I got back into organizing and I bought another rally car and I raced that one and I blew that one up. And it was another GTX, by the way. I have this horrible affliction for GTXs. It's almost a running joke in some of the rally forums. It's myself, my friend Matt Oram, and our friend Cody Crawford are all the GTX Masochist Club of the Northwest. Between us, we have most of the parts available in the U.S. Anyway, realizing that I couldn't afford to keep rallying and just getting tired of fixing my own car, I was like, how can I make this someone else's problem? I'm going to try co-driving. And I had done a little bit of it back in the day, co-driving course opening safety cars and things. And I was like, all right, let's do this for real. And my buddy Matt had just built a car and he needed a co-driver, so I jumped in with him. And it worked. And I had fun. I had more fun in the passenger seat yelling at Matt than I think I did driving my own car. It was less stressful in a lot of ways. It wasn't like, oh, what's that noise? I wasn't trying to preserve the car.
Right.
I was telling Matt, go faster, go faster.
Yeah,
this is, the flatten to 2, keep going. Because that was my job, was to be his cheerleader. And that's part of what I also love about co-driving is it's not just being a TomTom. I don't know how many people are going to remember that thing, but the TomTom navigation devices, you're more than that. You're a cheerleader. You're a coach. You are a best friend. Like, you're all the things. And I'm a pedantic, nerdy individual. And it feeds my need to be pedantic and perfect. Like, I love writing notes. I love reading notes and trying to get the cadence and timing perfect and the description of the corners perfect. Like that, I don't know what it is, but it's something I can nerd out on. And the more I nerd out on it, the better I am as a co-driver.
It's funny how I think a lot of people can relate to that in different ways. You start off in one particular thing, and then that leads you to what you're really interested in at the end of the day.
And now I've been co-driving for 7 years, pretty much full-time, 6 or 7 years. And I wouldn't say that I'm tired of it. I still really enjoy it, but I'm being a little more selective. Like for a while, I was co-driver for hire. Wherever I could go and find a ride, I would. And it was about finding experience and, learning new things. And I still, even though I'm racing with the same people now, every rally, I try to learn something new, like identify something new at the end of every rally. I'm like, that's something I didn't know before that now I do. Mm-hmm. Because as long as I'm constantly trying to improve, like we're all improving.
So if you don't mind me asking, and this is something that if you're a non-gearhead, I think it's kind of surprising to people, is that they think, well, you're into cars, so you're all the same. And that's not exactly the case. There's lots of subcultures.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and there's subcultures beneath those subcultures.
Just look at like the subgenres of specifically like speed metal, like the musical speed metal. Uh-huh. Like there are so many subgenres of different kinds of metal that are just sort of under that umbrella. And it, some of it's a little bit people want to define their own style, and they want a label that's them, that they identify with. But at the same time, there's so much diversity. And like you got people who are into Peugeots because they're French. You have people who are into Peugeots because of the engineering of a Peugeot. You have people who are into Peugeots because of the styling of the Peugeot. You have people who are into Peugeots because they like the logo.
Right.
And that's just one manufacturer.
So what has attracted you to Rally and Subarus and the like? What's part of your personality that brought you in that direction?
Oh, that's a great question. Part of it is Subarus I feel like they're very utilitarian. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're all-wheel drive, not four-wheel drive, they're all-wheel drive, and just seem to kind of go anywhere and everywhere. I love exploring. I love adventuring. Bonus if I can do it at some kind of fun rate of speed. And Subarus really have helped me do that. They're also a little bit ubiquitous. Like that's the thing too, is up until 2006 or 7, like the big boys were the Subaru STI and the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. Mm-hmm. And that was even the Rally Manufacturers Championship for open class. Those were the two hot cars. We used to have some more options, but it's kind of dwindled. I'm excited to see what Toyota's doing with the GR Corolla. I'd love to see the GR Yaris on our shore. But like that's another fun all-wheel drive turbo car that is not something like a Nissan GTR or a Mercedes, the AMG C35. Mm-hmm. Like those are cars that I wouldn't want to go get sideways on gravel with. But a Subaru? Oh yeah, ain't care. Praise Dale, raise hail. It's there's something about that lifestyle that just encourages every Subaru person I know are outdoorsy people.
And so, the excellent answer. So, kind of on that topic, why Rally out of all the different racing you could participate in?
ADHD. I've done circuit racing. I've done autocross, and like autocross is fun because the courses are inevitably quite different, race to race. But it never feels like you're in the car long enough to actually like really get enjoying it. It's very much like you have to be perfect right now, this time, every time. You don't have room to like goof off and have fun. Mm-hmm. You got to be fast and perfect. Circuit racing is like, cool, I'm going to see the same track 47 times. Right. And I like the racecraft aspect of it. I like fighting through traffic and like, door to door, but something about it just, it doesn't feel organic. It feels very, very structured and artificial. And then take a car and go wing it down a gravel road through the woods, regardless of what the weather is, regardless of your own personal safety. Like, this is interesting. I like this. Mm-hmm.
So, that's the thing, is that there's so much to personality that attracts somebody to that. So that must be where you found where you fit best. Is that really how you'd feel about it overall?
I can count on like maybe one hand the number of people that I'm friends with that aren't involved in rally. Then I have a whole bushel basket full of people that are rallyists.
You found your people. So I'm happy for you, because that's a hard thing to do in life sometimes.
And that's why I love rally is the folks that are involved are from all kinds of walks of life. You have people, one of my friends that I've co-driven for, is an engineer for Daimler. He designs like wiring harnesses and interiors for Daimler trucks. I've got another friend who is like a consultant for a knife company. I've got another friend who's a graphic designer. I've got a friend who's a fabricator. All walks of life. We are all equals in Rally. The gravel will bring us all together.
So that needs to be printed on a big banner so you could hang that somewhere. All right, the gravel will bring us together.
Something like that. I'm not good at the inspirational words, but it really is like just going out and playing in the dirt brings people together.
So, Dylan, we are coming to the closing of our show here. So I do have one more important question for you. All right.
All right.
And what would maybe you already own your dream car. I apologize if you do, but if you, other than what you have, what would be the dream car you could have? No money, no limitations whatsoever.
My gut response is 1998 Lotus Esprit V8 GT.
Now, why is that?
Could you think of a more iconic, like, kid from the early 90s, late 80s, like, dream supercar?
Nope. It's, other than McLaren F1, that's about it. But yeah,
that's a little bit later. That was getting into 2000s.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't know. The PlayStation playing Gran Turismo.
Okay.
That was like one of my favorite cars. I've got friends who have them, and they've all said stay away. And I'm like, oh, you're just telling me that because you don't want somebody else to be playing in your little party. And they're like, no, you talk about your GTX problems. You know nothing about Lotus Elise problems or Esprit problems.
Now, older brother, I can give you some advice for once. Everyone told me to stay away from that Jag I bought, and that Jag was actually very reliable.
Yeah, I wish that the reputation of the Lotus Esprit supported that as well, but it really doesn't. I mean, but that's the thing is there's so many cars, and I can't pick one. I love going to car shows and just looking at things, especially like I love Radwood. Mm-hmm. It is like going to muscle car shows is cool, but going to Radwood and seeing how everyone interprets, their version of Miami Vice or whatever, their family. What was the thing called from National Lampoons?
Oh, the Queen Wagon Family Truckster.
Yes, the family truckster. Seeing things like that. Cars that have personality. Like, I love cars that are artful. The Jag E-Type is a beautiful car. Porsches, all of them are beautiful. I love the lines and the curves. But, like, man, give me a boxy 90s or 80s Toyota shitbox and, like...
And you're happy.
It is beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. I've really enjoyed what some of folks have done, like, turning something like that into a real serious race car. Like, I think that Vermont Sports Car, Subaru Rally Team, whatever's Family Huckster... I don't know if you've seen that one. Travis Pastrana's driving it. It's a Subaru GL wagon that's absolutely insane. That sort of... iconify what I like is when people take, these decent 80s cars and then really, like, we're not just going to hop them up and, like, put a fast motor in it. We're going to go full, like, motorsports shop, throw the whole catalog at it, the best things we can do. We're going to re-engineer this thing. I love seeing when somebody goes absolutely crazy with, like, a 92 Nissan Pulsar GTIR. Mm-hmm. Like, they've somehow turned this thing into a real, like, world-class race car, not just a show car. And then they usually go hard park it. They don't actually take these things to racetracks, but the build is amazing, and I love that enthusiasm.
All right, Dylan, I love it, all the above here. We are going to come to a close here, I think, though, and this actually will be our season closer. On top of that, we will be back for more, but do you have any last-minute thoughts before I sign off for all our listeners here? OregonRally.com. Come check it out. That's where we have our calendar for the Northwest region events. There's events up in Washington, up near Seattle. There's events here in Portland, out west of Portland now. We're getting back into the Coast Range a little bit. SneakAttackRally.com has the full national schedule on it. You can see results live as they're coming in from events that have live timing there. Come get involved in Rally. Come spectate. Come volunteer. You want to come see Rally? Volunteering is the best way. You get your own private spectator area. Like, it's not you and 4,000 people, which has its own charms. But, like, come volunteer. Come see how Rally works. Come get involved. Come fall in love with it like I did. All right, everyone. You heard the man, and I think he's a very wise man that way. So, by all means, we are on Patreon. We appreciate any support you can give. And along with what Dylan said, we're also going to definitely check out the other links that we put in the description box below this episode. And we will be back for more episodes. But above all else, thank you for listening, and thank you, Dylan. Oh, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. All right. With that said, signing out.